Good morning, security gang, live from New York. Well, not really live. I'm obviously, if you can look behind me, it's dark outside. It's because I had to pre-record this morning's episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. My name is James Azar. I'm the host and Chief Information Security Officer, episode 981. All right. They're making me do this at this point. It's the countdown. Like it literally runs on one of my side production screens here. Episode 981. So thank you all for tuning in. We're going to give you the latest cybersecurity news as quickly and as efficiently as humanly possible. So buckle up, tune in. I would typically grab my double espresso. It's really, really early in the morning, and 7-Eleven for coffee might be worse than Starbucks. Like I've reached that conclusion at this point. I tried, meaning I went down to 7-Eleven. It's New York City. There's one like at every street corner. They're open 24/7. And I went to their coffee machine and I said, for the life or death of me, make me an espresso. And it did. And from the smell of it, I knew it was going to be bad. Then I tasted it and I spit it out, and I paid for it because that's the right thing to do. And I came back here disappointed that I didn't have my espresso because I was really trying to get an espresso. It's New York. You'd have good coffee, but not when I'm recording this podcast this morning. So with that being said, coffee cup cheers to all of y'all. I hope you're enjoying whatever beverage you're drinking while listening, watching, or reading the show. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the latest cyber news. We'll go to Jaguar and Land Rover. The JLR cyber attack that we announced last week continues to halt production of the British vehicle manufacturer now owned by Tata Motors of India. Someone on YouTube left me a comment. They're like, "It's not British. It's Indian." Well, technically, they're British brands. They're still British companies. They may be owned by Tata Motors, but Jaguar and Land Rover are as British as tea and biscuits at 2 p.m. So they're now saying that it'll take at least until September 24th for the company to restart its global operations as the impact of the cyber attack continues. Now, the automotive manufacturer is saying it's taken the decision to pause attempts to restart production as it could hinder forensic investigations, and the incident is ongoing. It is considering the different stages of the controlled restart of their global operation, which will take time. The extended disruption is increasing the cost of the incident for JLR, which is one of Britain's most significant industrial producers, accounting for roughly 4% of goods export last year and risks damaging the British economy as a whole. Now, when they say that, you have to understand what they mean. It's not like 4%. 4% is what they account for, but then they produce probably 10 or 15% around that because that they buy stuff from local manufacturers and local factories and local service providers, and all of them are also on hold. And those small businesses are significantly impacted by this. And this is the downstream impact of cybersecurity incidents. And it just shows you that a company like Jaguar and Land Rover, which accounts for 4%, so by all considerate, Cadbury, the famous chocolate maker in the UK, the chocolate Easter eggs, right? Like just as kind of putting that one to the other, you can kind of get this idea of what's happening there. So this is more than a company outage. Some cybersecurity researcher is telling Recorded Future News, that's Lucas Kello, that this is an economic security incident. I mean, it is, but then like it's complex, right? These types of cyber attacks, while common ransomware is there, ransomware on a manufacturing line with a global operation that's integrated is significant, and it's very disruptive. But there are ways to mitigate around this that are inherently already readily available. The microsegmentation of your networks, the split of different variations, the idea of interconnectivity being done through JIT access or something along those lines. Like, unless everything was sitting on just one big network and you can hop along, which it might be the case. We don't have the forensics. I'm just making assumptions here, right? So, and again, I'm not dismissing JLR's incident, but I'm saying the impact of it primarily, once all the dust settles, we'll understand exactly what happens. My guess is they weren't segmenting their networks. Everything was kind of interconnected. They were likely able to elevate privileges on every single system and launched a ransomware in every single part of the system, thus making restoration and forensics extremely complex. That's my guess. And I'm gonna leave it there because it's only a guess. And I want to say that again. I'm guessing. This is coming as the British government is trying to introduce a much delayed cybersecurity and resilience bill to Parliament, which was delayed again last week. The bill would require companies working in critical sectors to abide by higher cybersecurity standards, which would have not directly impacted JLR. However, it would have directly impacted Tata Consultancy Services, a managed service provider used by JLR, as well as two other well-known British brands hit by ransomware earlier this year, like Marks and Spencer and Co-op and so many others. Now, did Tata Consultancy Services get hit by this ransomware? I don't know. I haven't seen that anywhere. I can't validate that. If you have any information about that, please let us know. We're also investigating another story that was dropped to us on Monday. Hopefully, we'll have some news for that next week. All right. We move to NPM because for whatever godforsaken reason, PyPy, NPM, I mean, what's happening in Python and these Python packages is absolutely incredible. We're seeing supply chain attack after supply chain attack after a supply chain attack. This one coming from our friends over at Socket, saying they flagged a fresh software supply chain attack targeting the NPM registry, affecting more than 40 packages that belong to a multitude of maintainers. The end goal of the campaign is to search developer machines for secrets using the Trufflehog's credential scanner and transmit them to an external server under the attacker's control. They're able to target both Windows and Linux systems. These are the packages that have been identified. You see them here, and we'll have those available on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com after the show. The malicious JavaScript code injected in each of the Trojanized packages designed to download and run the Trufflehog, which is a legitimate secret scanning tool, using it to scan for the host for tokens and cloud credentials like GitHub token and NPM token, AWS access key ID, and AWS secret access key. It validates those tokens with the WAMI endpoint and then interacts with the GitHub APIs when a token is available. It also attempts cloud metadata discovery that can leak short-lived credentials inside cloud build agents. So there's that, but there's even more packages impacted, according to this report with CrowdStrike Publisher NPM account to publish several Trojanized packages that belong to CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike saying they did stop this attack, and no one was impacted by it, but the Aux security team, and we had the CEO on the show last week, in its own analysis, said they found 34 compromised GitHub accounts, which contained the Shai Hulud repo, within which there is a data.json file containing an encoded JSON with the compromised information the attacker uploaded to the victim's GitHub account. Reversing Lab also characterizing the incident of a first of its kind self-replicating worm, compromising NPM packages with cloud tokens, stealing malware. The starting point is believed to be the RxNet authentication, a malicious version of what was published on NPM on the 14th of September. As a result, the maintainer tech support TRX and T can be considered patient zero for this campaign, according to security researcher Carlo Zinecki. Once infected by Shai Hulud, the NPM packages spawn attacks of their own by unknowingly allowing the worm to self-propagate through the packages they maintain. Again, software supply chain attacks are coming. AppSec, software supply chain, DevSecOps, this whole world is the attackers have really gotten up. AI has really helped them build this out. This isn't just them getting really better. It's them utilizing AI tools in order to be able to create these things, maybe even through malicious AI, and be able to do just that. So you want to address these by monitoring any suspicious activity, by making sure that you're using secure packages, that you're scanning them, and that you're monitoring your secrets and rotating. Continuous auditing is going to be required in this type of space. The ChatGPT calendar integration could be abused to execute an attacker's command, according to Edison Watch, having demonstrated the potential impact by showing how the method can be leveraged to steal users' emails. Founder Ito Mayomara revealed over the weekend that his company had analyzed ChatGPT's newly added MCP tool support, which enables the Gen AI service to interact with the user's email, calendar, payment, enterprise collaboration, and other third-party services. He showed in a demo how an attacker could exfiltrate sensitive information from a user's email account simply by knowing the target's email address. The attack starts with a specially crafted calendar invitation sent by the attacker to the target. The invitation would contains what Mayamura considered a jailbreak prompt that instructed ChatGPT for sensitive information in the victim's inbox and sent it to an email address specified by the attacker. Again, this isn't a real attack. It's something they did and showed, and ChatGPT plans to address it. So we'll see if that becomes a thing. Security researchers also disclosing multiple critical security vulnerabilities in the chaos mesh that, is if successfully exploited, could lead to a cluster takeover in Kubernetes. Attackers only need minimal in-cluster network access to exploit these vulnerabilities, exploit the platform's fault injections, and perform further malicious actions, including stealing privileged service account tokens, according to JFrog. Chaos Mesh is an open-source cloud-native chaos engineering platform that offers various types of fault simulation and simulates various abnormalities that might occur during the software development life cycles. There's multiple CVEs here. They all are 2025, 59358, 59359, 59360, and 59361. The latter three have a 9.8 CVSS score, and the first has a 7.5. And altogether, it does create a cluster type of attack to perform remote code execution across the cluster, even in the default configuration. They stem from an insufficient authentication mechanism within the Chaos Controller's manager's GraphQL server, allowing an unauthenticated attacker to run arbitrary commands on the Chaos daemon, resulting in a cluster takeover. Following responsible disclosure, all identified shortcomings were addressed in version 2.7.3, which was released on August 21st. So you want to make sure you're there as well. Apple rolling out a major iOS and macOS platform updates, fixing more than 50 vulnerabilities. iOS 26, iPadOS 26 were released for the latest generation iPhone and iPad devices, fixing 27 unique CVEs that could lead to memory corruption, information disclosure, crashes, and sandbox escapes. They also released Tahoe 26, patching 38 unique CVEs, including 11, which were resolved in iOS 26 and iPad OS 26 as well. The most affected components were WebKits, which received fixes for 5 bugs, Apple Mobile File Integrity, and Shared File List with patches for 4 issues each, and Bluetooth and Sandbox with fixes for 3 flaws each. So you want to make sure you get those devices updated. CISA is delaying the final cyber incident reporting rule for critical infrastructure operators until May of 2026, 9 months past the original deadline set forth by President Joe Biden when the Critical Infrastructure Act of 2022 was signed into law. The act covers entities the act gives covered entities 72 hours of detection to report certain cyber incidents and 24 hours to report paying out extortion money to ransomware attackers. Marcy McCarthy, the CISA Director of Public Affairs, saying that to examine options within the rulemaking process to address congressional intent, they plan to go ahead and push back the date in order to make some edits there. So the proposed definitions, I was critical of them back then. I said they're adding way too much between the SEC and this. You're spending more time reporting than you are dealing with an incident in the darkest hours, in those darkest days, in those early days when everyone is up and at them, doing 20, you're working days on end when you're going through an incident, especially in the first 3 to 5 days. You're trying to get people in, you're trying to get teams set up, you're working on your business continuity, you're briefing your executives. The last thing you need to do is also start briefing regulators, right? The SEC kind of reporting is a simple, like, is there material impact or is there not material impact? But here, this really did have a lot of pushback from industry, so we'll see what CISA does. They're pushing it back to May 2026 in order to give us more time for them as well. Continuing in Washington, D.C., where House lawmakers are moving to extend 2 key cyber programs in the short-term government funding bill that was unveiled on Tuesday. It'll extend the 2015 Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act and the state and local cybersecurity grant program, which were set to expire on September 30th, will now remain in effect until November 21st. If approved, the 2-month reprieve will give House and Senate lawmakers more time to align on how to best renew the statutes, particularly the decade-old Cyber Threat Information Sharing Initiative, which provides legal safeguards for companies that voluntarily share threat intel data with government or each other. So the bill, crafted by Senator Rand Paul, the panel's chair, is expected to defer from the House's draft with shorter renewal life and would remove some of the safeguards enjoyed by private entities who share information with the government. But likely it'll pass as it is for now. That's just, kind of trying to set the ball by Senator Rand Paul for the future. So rest assured there. Connor Brian Fitzpatrick, the 22-year-old behind Breach Forums, was resentenced today to 3 years in federal prison by the federal appeals court, who overturned his previous sentence of time served and 20 years of supervised release. Fitzpatrick, a New York, operated under the alias Pomporian and created the Breach Forums hacking forum in 2022 after the FBI took down Raid Forums. Fitzpatrick was arrested on March 15th and charged with conspiracy to solicit individuals to sell unauthorized access devices. At the time of his arrest, he admitted to FBI agents that he was Pomporian and the administrator of Breach Forums. He pled guilty to conspiracy to commit access device fraud, solicitation for the purpose of offering access, and possession of child pornography. The DOJ says Fitzpatrick violated his pretrial release conditions by using the internet on an unmonitored device. Prosecutors were seeking more than 15 years in prison. He was sentenced to time served, including 17 days in jail and 20 years of supervised release. He'll now be spending 3 years in jail. So there's that. And in industry consolidation, CrowdStrike said it's going to acquire Panega, a company specializing in AI security, to expand its Falcon platform with new protections designed for enterprise AI. This is coming after Check Point revealed that they plan to acquire Lakera, another AI security firm. The move, along with other recent acquisitions in the AI security space, like AIM getting acquired, all kind of show you exactly what's happening with the large companies acquiring these AI companies early on, in order to solidify their market position and save time. And they're buying them cheap. They're buying them early. They're buying them cheap. They're buying them after a seed round or maybe an A round. And so they're getting them cheap so they don't have to build. They integrate it in. They take on that engineering, and eventually it becomes a built-in product. So there's that on the Falcon platform. And for Check Point as well, the Nadav Zafir has said the growth of Check Point is going to only come from predominantly acquisitions. So he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And I've known Nadav for quite some time. That's typically a man of his word at Check Point, which continues in its acquisition and buying spree in order to expand its offering portfolio, in order to create in order to become competitive with the likes of CrowdStrike, with the likes of Palo Alto Networks, and so many others. So that's the market. That's it for our show today. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, hopefully live. I'm going to try and make the show live on Thursday, but if not, you'll have to excuse me. Again, traveling this week, but should be good to go. Have a great rest of your day, y'all. Make sure to subscribe. Check out CyberHubPodcast.com for all the latest. And most importantly, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.